Welcome to MI Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Melody, and here are today's reports. Myanmar records 100 COVID-19 confirmed cases within 24 hours. 18,163 million jets awarded at 19 Aungbarlay Lottery Announcement. Mandalay highway bus lines continues transport service. Demand for beans stable, but prices decrease due to fall in foreign currency. Before we get to the reports, let's take a look at the featured local news for today. President Wu Win-myint received a courtesy call from Yang Shih-chi, member of the Political Bureau of the Chinese Communist Party Central Committee, at the Credentials Hall of the Presidential Palace in Naypyidaw on Tuesday afternoon. At the call, they discussed fostering bilateral relations, expanding cooperation in agriculture, health, education, and trade between the two countries, continuing joint projects of the two countries during the post-COVID-19 period, supply of COVID-19 vaccines to Myanmar, assistance of China in the peacemaking processes of Myanmar for the stability of border areas, maintaining consistent implementation of agreements reached during the visit to Myanmar of Chinese President Xi Jinping in January of 2020. Systematic organization of the Myanmar-China Year of Culture and Tourism 2020 to strengthen social and people-to-people exchanges and cooperation between the two countries. They also exchanged views on close cooperation between the two countries in regional and international arenas. Mr. Lindamu Iage Nalin Kumara de Silva, the newly accredited ambassador of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka to the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, presented his letters of credence to the President of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, Wu Win-myint, at the Credentials Hall of the Presidential Palace in Naypyidaw on Tuesday. State Councilor Daw Aung San Suu Kyi received Yang Shih-chi, member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China Central Committee, in the Credentials Hall of the Presidential Palace in Naypyidaw on Tuesday. Following the meeting, Myanmar-China bilateral talks was held, led by State Councilor Daw Aung San Suu Kyi and member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China Central Committee, Mr. Yang Shih-chi. At the meeting, they cordially exchanged views on matters pertaining to the strengthening of high-level interactions between the two countries. China to provide the COVID-19 vaccines to Myanmar once it starts distribution. Implementation of projects under the Belt and Road Initiatives and Myanmar-China Economic Corridor, which were agreed during Chinese President Xi Jinping's state visit to Myanmar. Maintenance of peace and stability along the border. China's continued constructive assistance in the Myanmar government's national reconciliation and peace processes. Enhanced cooperation in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Regarding the Rakhine issue, China reaffirms its commitment to lend its continued support to Myanmar's initiatives in addressing the challenges, to facilitate the repatriation process, closer cooperation, and coordination in the international arena. China announced the provision of yuan 200 million grant to the Myanmar government for uplifting the livelihood of the people in Rakhine State. Myanmar expressed its deep appreciation to China for its consistent support at the multilateral fora and reiterated its long-standing position of one China policy and one country, two systems. And I believe it's time now for our first report. The Ministry of Health and Sports reported 95 new COVID-19 cases at 8 p.m. on Monday, and 5 more new cases were reported at 8 a.m. on Tuesday, when it can be said that the highest number of the cases will be announced by the MOHS. According to the data released from the Ministry of Health and Sports, the total number of the COVID-19 cases in the country has risen to 887 with 6 deaths and 354 recoveries. Let's take a look at the report for more details.
The Ministry of Health and Sports reported 95 new COVID-19 cases at 8 p.m. on 31st August, and 5 more new cases were reported at 8 a.m. on 1st September. Starting from 23rd March, when the first COVID-19 confirmed cases were found within the country, to till now, this is the highest number of the cases to be announced by the Ministry of Health and Sports within 24 hours. Dr. Situlin, specialist from the Yangon Walkers Hospital, spoke to MI Radio about the current infected cases in the country.
If the infections increase day by day with this infection rate, all we have to do is to prevent ourselves as much as we can. In our country, we only have 6 deaths while all the cases are over 800. The virus has transformed to mutation and the infections are faster. We cannot say the death rate can be stable in the 6 deaths. By comparing to the other Southeast Asian countries, Myanmar has reached the medium. People suffered a lot in their lives, not only economically, but also socially from this disease. People need to do is to follow the rules from the Ministry of Health and Sports.
All the new confirmed cases are from the Rakhine State, Yangon, Mandalay, Naypyidaw, Bago and Magwe regions. On 29 August, the Ministry of Health and Sports also reported 77 COVID-19 infected cases, which are the second highest infection rate since the first cases were detected on the 23rd March. According to the data in the country, it took 152 days from the first case to reach the 400 cases in the country. But in these days, it only took 10 days to reach 800 cases from 401 cases. Among all those cases, 6.47% of the cases are from the close contacts with the infected patients. 1.33% is from the people who are being monitored as suspected patients, and 0.17% is from the people who enter the quarantine centers. From 16 August to 31st August, there are a total of 345 COVID-19 cases in the Rakhine State, and most of the cases are in the Sidri Township. Not only Yangon, but also the other regions and states reported new COVID-19 cases, which can be also regarded as the locally transmitted cases. Aungbarlay, Lottery representative from Rakhine Township, spoke to MI Radio that the people should be alerted in this situation as the cases are continually rising day by day.
The infection cases in the Southeast Asia are jumping a lot in these days. As we see, all the cases in the country are increasing continually in every single day. In the previous time, we all had stopped all our businesses and works. Many people suffered a lot from these restrictions. But in this time, in my opinion, people used to be familiar with the new normal lifestyle, but they need to be mindful about the infections. Not only have the people in Rakhine, but also the people in every region and state had to prevent the COVID-19 virus.
All the labs in the country, including the National Health Laboratory, Department of the Medical Research, Defense Service General Hospital, Public Health Laboratory in Mandalay and Mandalay, have tested over 157,000 lab tests. There are currently over 7,600 suspected patients who are being monitored under the Ministry of Health and Sports. According to the report from the World Health Organization on 30th August, the Southeast Asia region has showed the highest rise in new cases in the last 7 days, with over 500,000 new cases reported. Around the world, there are over 25 million people afflicted in the 215 countries, with over 17 million recovered, while 857,000 people are dead from this deadly coronavirus, as of the data from the Watermeter Coronavirus Resource Center released on the 1st September.
That's the report on Myanmar records 100 COVID-19 confirmed cases within 24 hours. More than 18,000 million kyats was awarded as the prizes for the Aungbarlay Lottery for August. The 19th Aungbarlay Lottery Announcement was held on the 1st of September, and prizes of 15,000 lakhs, 10,000 lakhs, 5,000 lakhs, and many more, which was accounted for 60% of the total sale, were awarded.
State Lottery Directorate under Internal Revenue Department held the 19th Aungbarlay Lottery Announcement for 1,000 kyat lottery tickets on the morning of 1st September, and it awarded 18,163.596 million kyats as prizes. At the 19th Lottery Announcement, the tickets comprised of 37 alphabets from Ka to Kakadzi were sold. As special prizes, a prize of 15,000 lakhs kyats, a prize of 10,000 lakhs kyats, 2 prizes of 5,000 lakhs kyats, 4 prizes of 2,000 lakhs kyats, and 6 prizes of 1,000 lakhs kyats were awarded. For the individual prizes, 15 prizes for 500 lakhs kyats, 19 prizes for 200 lakhs kyats, 26 prizes for 100 lakhs kyats, and 28 prizes for 50 lakhs kyats were awarded. For the lottery announcement for August, over 3 million lottery books and over 33 million lottery tickets were sold out. Out of over 30,000 million kyat sales, over 18,000 million kyats was awarded as the prizes, accounting for 60% of the total sale. In July, over 3.2 million lottery books, comprised of 40 alphabets, were sold out, and the sale reached over 32,000 million kyats. 60% of total sale, over 19,000 million kyats, was awarded. Comparing to the earlier months of COVID-19 outbreak, the later months show increase in sale and lottery buyers. Wu Angkai lottery retailer from Somojo Lottery Shop said,
During the
outbreak of COVID-19, other business persons joined to the lottery market. That leads to better sales. The total number of alphabets decreases, and there are more sellers. So, the sales can be said to be good. Since the working opportunities are not good during these days, people become more interested in lottery. Although lottery from other countries such as Thailand, Singapore, and Malaysia are entering into the local market, they are not official. The Aungbarlay Lottery is the only official state lottery in Myanmar. The lottery from foreign markets are difficult to claim an award. It is easy to claim a prize from Aungbarlay Lottery. I want to suggest the public to buy only the official lottery. Since this is the state-owned lottery, it gives the full amount of money for any award.
In Myanmar, under the government scheme, the lottery winning prizes are announced every month, and the prizes are higher in amount and money in total price, which attract the interest of the general public. The lottery seller said the current sale cannot catch up that of the previous period before the outbreak of COVID-19, and the sellers keep doing the lottery selling business despite increasing COVID-19 confirmed cases in the country. Umyo Ao, a lottery seller from Mingladong Township, also said,
The sale decreased only in the earlier months of COVID-19 outbreaks, but later the sale is in good status. More people buy the lottery tickets. However, this cannot compare with the period before the outbreak of COVID-19.
In addition to the 60% of total sale of August, 2,224 prizes worth of 250 million kyats, which was defined as the nation's fund because of not claiming the award within the specific duration, were also awarded. It is also informed that the authorities concerned are working for the winners to easily and quickly claim the prizes.
That's the report on 18,163 million kyats awarded at 19th Aungbarlay Lottery Announcement. Moving on to the third report. Even though COVID-19 has brought most of the businesses to a halt, the transport sector has to keep moving forward. In spite of the transport demand having dropped because of the pandemic, there are goods and commodities still being delivered to parts of the country. Go Kine, chairman of Disciplinary Committee of Mandalay Region Bus Line Highway, said there is still a rumor of issuing an order to suspend all bus lines.
Even though COVID-19 has brought most of the businesses to a halt, the transport sector has to keep moving forward. In spite of the transport demand having dropped because of the pandemic, there are goods and commodities still being delivered to parts of the country. There is still a rumor of issuing an order to suspend all bus lines. Yangon Region Transport Authority said either a request or an order has not been issued from the authorities concerned. Go Kine, chairman of Disciplinary Committee of Mandalay Region Bus Line Highway, said.
It is not true that Mandalay bus line was closed according to the announcement of Traffic Control Committee, and it was just a rumor emerged from the public. The rumor is that the highway bus parking would be closed due to the plan of partial lockdown at Magway on 29th of August. We asked Magway's disciplinary committee by contacting with telephone whether the regional government had any plans to start announcing partial lockdown. I would like to tell all these are just rumors about the intention of placing on lockdown in Yangon, Mandalay, Magway, and Mandalay highway bus parking.
Although most highway bus lines have been resuming their operations by following social distancing rules at the moment, all Rakhine bus lines have been suspended. So, the incomes from Mandalay Rakhine bus lines have decreased as they have suspended their bus services due to the increasing number of COVID-19 cases and the resurgence of the pandemic. For the time being in Yangon, there are 226 passengers from 19 buses from Rakhine bus lines who are being put into quarantine at the quarantine centers in Line Township. Aungbarlay, chairman of Mandalay Region Bus Line Supervisory Committee Highway, said to My Radio concerning the Mandalay Rakhine Highway bus lines.
There are altogether 9 bus lines from Rakhine State, and all bus lines want to suspend their bus services due to the increasing number of COVID-19 cases. But now, only 5 buses have been left for Mandalay Rakhine bus lines, but the incomes decreased during this period. For the prevention, we have already instructed bus lines to make preparations in compliance with the health guidelines released since February.
The highway bus lines have all been suspended starting from April to prevent the spread of the coronavirus disease. Starting from June, express buses operating from 5 terminals in Mandalay, which follow the Ministry of Health and Sports guidelines, have been allowed to operate transport service to other regions and states. U Tintao, driver of Audisa highway bus line, said to My Radio.
We ran our buses 4 times a day before the pandemic of COVID-19, but now the outbreak of pandemic, we are only running 2 times a day, accepting the 2 seat for only 1 person. According to the rules of medical health centers, the risk of business for our highway buses is I mentioned above. The goods are accepted to meet the designated load the bus can carry. The plans we have been doing during COVID-19 pandemic are to ask all the passengers who arrive at our bus line to wash their hands with hand sanitizer systematically and to wear face masks. Even though they fail to do then, we will have to guide them to follow the guidelines of MOHS. Our bus line is formed with a total of 13 buses. In addition, I would like to tell our bus line is following the rules and regulations to provide a backday transport service for our customers.
To be able to operate the bus line systematically, the authorities are distributing the announcement letter of rules and regulations to the bus lines to follow the coronavirus preventive measures. The highway bus lines, which are going to run back to Mandalay region, need to conduct disinfectant spraying to the vehicles after every route is finished. Drivers and helpers also need to wear masks and need to obey the instructions when carrying passengers on the bus.
That's the report on Mandalay Highway bus lines continue transport service. Let's move on to the last report for today. Myanmar's beans and pulses are mainly exported to neighboring India, followed by China, Indonesia, European countries, and Japan. About 80% export of beans and pulses goes to India. There was an already granted permission that 400,000 tons of green grams can be exported into India until the 31st of March 2021. But recently, a new policy was re-announced that green grams from Myanmar would have to be imported into India on the 31st of August 2020.
According to the Ministry of Commerce, Myanmar exported 1.15 million tons of various beans and pulses to foreign markets through over 200 domestic trading companies in the current financial year. Myanmar transported over 1.15 million tons of beans and pulses to foreign markets from 1st October 2019 to late June in the current financial year 2019-2020. Fetching over $730 million, according to the figures released by the ministry. Myanmar's beans and pulses are mainly exported to neighboring India, followed by China, Indonesia, European countries, and Japan. About 80% export of beans and pulses go to India. There was an already granted permission that 400,000 tons of green grams can be exported into India until 31st of March 2021. But recently, a new policy was re-announced that green grams from our country would have to be imported into India on 31st of August 2020. U Kin Han, chairman from the Myanmar Culinary Crops Production and Exporting Association, spoke to MI Radio that
this year, we have already exported 540,000 tons till now. They have granted permission to import 400,000 tons of green grams and 200,000 tons of pulses, but 300,000 tons of green grams and pulses have been left to be exported. The license for exporting pulses is not approved, and the previous license for exporting beans will be expired in this August. Myanmar Pulses, Beans and Sesame Seeds Merchants Association has requested to extend the license for exporting, but they haven't responded yet.
Speaking to MI Radio about the challenges in exporting the beans, Dr. Miu, General Secretary of Yangon Region Chambers of Commerce and Industry, said,
The demand from other countries decreased more than expected due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But the domestic bean market became alive, although there are some difficulties in transportation. As beans are the basic foodstuffs, there is no such loss for this market comparing with other companies. There is one condition that, although the demand is high, the prices decrease because of the fall in the foreign currency. In spite of having the short of time, there is not sufficient amount of beans for export. Therefore, only 100,000 tons of beans can be imported to India. But there is no additional announcement till now from them. It seems like India is observing the weather, and if they get less rain this year, the demand could increase and they may also allow extension of the duration.
Myanmar earns about $800 million from export of beans and pulses every year. For the fiscal year 2020-2021, the country expected to export more beans and pulses in line with the quota notification announced by the Department of Commerce India. U Kin Han, chairman from the Myanmar Culinary Crops Production and Exporting Association, said,
Because of the COVID-19 outbreak, there are some difficulties in transportation system throughout the countries. We cannot export like the previous years. We are working based on the situation in the countries and the climate. We need to overcome this outbreak and maintain the current situation. The current situation is not stable, so we need to give priority in balancing our business sector.
Mung beans is the main export item among beans and pulses, with an estimated earning of some $326 million, followed by green grams with an export value of $198 million, and pigeon peas with $96 million. Myanmar is a major pulse exporting nation among ASEAN countries in growing various kinds of beans and pulses. Myanmar is the biggest exporter of beans and pulses in Asia and ranks second after Canada in the world.
That's the report on demand for bean stable, but prices decrease due to fall in foreign currency. Now to international news. Former Japanese Defense Minister Shigeru Ishiba and former Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida on Tuesday both officially announced they will be running for the leadership of Japan's ruling party. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe announced his resignation on Friday due to the worsening of a chronic health condition. His Liberal Democratic Party is expected to hold its leadership vote on the 14th of September. The president of the LDP is virtually assured of being prime minister because of the party's majority in parliament's lower house. Ishiba is favored to lead the LDP in opinion polls, but the slimmed-down version of the election that officials have announced is widely expected to work against him. Kishida, currently policy chief of the LDP, said the country must focus on challenges such as poverty and social disparity. The World Health Organization is urging nations not to reopen too quickly, saying the coronavirus pandemic threat remains. The agency's head said he fully supports getting economies back to work, but once it's done safely. Let's take a listen.
If countries are serious about opening up, they must be serious about suppressing transmission and saving lives. The more control countries have over the virus, the more they can open up. Opening up without having control is a recipe for disaster.
He has also urged leaders to focus on preventing large gatherings and protecting the vulnerable, as well as testing and contact tracing. More than 25 million people around the world have been affected with the coronavirus, and nearly 850,000 have died.
Saudi Arabia's King Salman sacked 2 royals and referred them along with 4 military officers for investigation into corruption at the Defense Ministry in a royal decree issued early on Tuesday and carried by state media. The decree said Prince Fahd bin Turki bin Abdulaziz Al Saud would be removed as commander of joint forces in the Saudi-led coalition fighting in Yemen, and his son, Prince Abdulaziz bin Fahd, relieved of his post as governor of Al Juf region. It said the decision was based on Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's missive to the Anti-Corruption Committee to investigate, quote, suspicious financial transactions at the Defense Ministry, end quote. That's all with the news and reports on Myanmar Today. Hope everyone is staying safe.